Hello everyone and welcome to Katharine's Creatures. This is episode 36. And this is a series where I get to touch base and talk about various beast, beings, creatures, and the like pulled from lore and mythology worldwide. Today, per request, I'm going to start talking, it's going to be a part 1 of 2, about the Chinese dragon, which is termed the Long or the Lung. So I always like to preface my little spiels by saying that I am not a linguist, so if I do mispronounce anything, I apologize in advance. It was not my intent. Now let's get back to the Long, since I'm a dragon fanatic. Okay, so the Long is, again, the Chinese dragon. It's an animal-like, well, it takes various animal-like forms, so it's not always as we perceive and consider and think of the Oriental or the Asian dragons. So the Long can also take shapes of things like fish and turtles, but more often than not, they are some kind of serpent-like creature with elongated body and 4 legs. Okay, so now we kind of have like a little visual. They are always deemed as they are often considered auspicious with magical powers and potent strength. They have more often than not attributes and abilities to control things like water, thunder, thunderstorms, rain, and of course flooding. So they're more or less the water element, if you can consider that. But they've often, throughout history, been symbolized in various ways, representing power, strength, and good luck. So for the rest of this part of the part 1, I'm going to kind of go into a little bit of history of how the Long/Lung kind of came about and what it represents. And then next time, I'll kind of delve in more of the mythology aspect of it. So for the Long, it's actually the Chinese dragon. You can see a lot of definite similarities with it and other Asian-styled dragons because it actually influenced different countries and how they viewed and created the dragon-like entities of their own. So, for instance, Korea, Vietnam, and Japan can all claim being influenced in some way, shape, or form from the Chinese Long. Now, it is associated, I guess, in the beginning of its life cycle. So associated with the Emperor of China, the founder of the Han Dynasty or Han Dynasty, Louis Boing? I am horrible at these pronunciations, but the emperor who was the founder of the Han Dynasty, claimed that actually he was conceived after his mother dreamed of a dragon. So there was this very big tie from the get-go of dragons and the emperor and the royal family, etc. So by the time we get to the Tang Dynasty, the dragon, the Long, became an imperial symbol and was often worn on various garb that they wore. By the Yuan Dynasty, hopefully I'm pronouncing these remotely closely, the Long developed these 2 horns and these 5 claws, and to wear a dragon with the 5 claws and the 2 horns and kind of more or less the image that we think of when we think of the mythological Chinese dragon. Only the emperor could wear that animal. Anybody else, you are not allowed to. So at that point, it was so revered that it was a specialized symbol. Moving along throughout history, we get to the Ming and Qing dynasties. And again, the dragon continues to be a symbol of the emperor and from then on. Now, going backwards a little bit, kind of talking back to the 5 claws, I thought this was a kind of fun note. So the 5-claw dragons represent the emperor. If you have a 4-claw dragon, it was, you could represent princes and certain nobility, so you can kind of tier down, and then 3-claw dragons, which there are a few, are like the lowest level for people who can use that symbol. But again, the 5-clawed was only for the emperor. So fun fact. But as I kind of mentioned, I just wanted to briefly give you the background history of why it was revered and how it became this kind of symbolic essence entity. And next time I'm actually going to jump into the myth and some of the stories behind these kind of Chinese dragons, the long, and delve a little more into that. So if you have any questions for me pertaining to this or anything else, post them in the comments below or message me on social media. And until next time, Skål.